back here. Hi, everybody. My name is Lynn McDaniel, and we're Estate Sale Goddess, and this is my husband and my partner,
Ty McDaniel.
And welcome to our Art Talk. We're going to discuss a few pieces that are coming up in the family KENNON sale. That sale is July 13th and 14th, 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., and it is in the neighborhood of Calumet Heights. It is Chicago. It's not a suburb. It's in the neighborhood of Calumet Heights. Some of the things that we want to talk about is that this family is the KENNON family, and they were a huge family and a family that stuck together, and they went through many decades together. We're talking turn of the century all the way up until today. There's many KENNONs, but we want to specifically speak to Lawrence E. KENNON.
The KENNON family estate. They were Southside political activists and supporter of the arts, and particularly the Southside Community Arts Center.
Okay, yeah. Lawrence was what? He was a board member there, right? Is that correct?
Right. He was a board member at the Southside Community Arts Center and a collector of art from African American artists.
Mm-hmm. Someone sent me a text at 5:13 in the morning, and they said, "What a wonderful man! He was essential to the Black Power movement in the '60s. You know, he was with Angela Davis, Pontiac 17. He won so many awards. He was on so many boards. He did so many things. He was vital with the NAACP, as his family was."
But I think we talk more about Lawrence because we knew him personally.
And he was funny. He was kind. He had a beautiful apartment right on the lake. Remember that time?
Yes.
But he collected art, and that's what we're here to talk about today. This sale has so much Black art. I specify Black art because this is art made by Black artists, and I want the Black artists to be recognized. You know, I love Charles White. I just have to say how much I love Charles White. I mean, his story is amazing. Well, he used to walk from Bronzeville to the Art Institute daily because he had won a scholarship. They used to live across the street from the park. So there would be art classes in the park. So he would go over there and he would watch all the adult students, you know, mixing their linseed oil and mixing their colors and their paints and everything. And he said he learned a lot from that. But then eventually his mother used to take him downtown to the library, and then he'd sneak over to the Art Institute. And then he started, you know, learning about the different artists, and it grew his love of art. And from that, you know, I think that was during the Depression, if I'm not mistaken. And so I remember reading that he didn't have any materials like canvases or anything to do any painting on. So he took the screens, you know, the shades off the windows, and he started painting on those. And then his mother came home and whipped that ass. But he said he went from that to using the cardboard that came out of the shirts when you get them back from the cleaners. So he's got a really interesting story. And I just want to add this one last thing. And I think this is why I love him so much, because besides his incredible talent, you know, he had that never give upness, because one of the things that he did was he at the Art Institute, you know, on the job board, you know, they needed money. So he says, it was this interior decorator needed a cook. And he says, well, he applied for it and he got it. He said he never cooked a thing in his life. So he called his mother. The interior designer was at work, and he called his mother. He said, "Mom, I got to make dinner." And so his mother helped him prepare a 5-course meal on the phone. It took 3.5 hours, and he presented it to his employer, and he ate it. He said, "Oh my God, this is delicious." And so he did that for a year, ladies and gentlemen, a year. So that's why I like him so much. That's one of the reasons why I like him so much.
No, I think Charles White is a phenomenal artist, not only a Chicago artist, but a worldwide artist, also an art instructor.
What is your favorite piece? Do you have a favorite piece?
I believe I like the piece he did for Harry Belafonte.
Oh, I love Harry Belafonte.
I think it's called Folk Singer.
Yeah, and he's singing. He's reaching up to the heavens and he's singing. I love that, and that's a very young Harry Belafonte.
Charles White was married to Elizabeth Catlett at one point.
He was married to Elizabeth Catlett.
At one point.
Can you imagine all that talent, all that hanging out? Weren't they at the Southside Community Arts Center too, along with Dr. Burroughs? And Dr. Burroughs is my girl. You know, she founded the DuSable Museum. It was so many people at the Southside Community Arts Center. And, you know, and like we said, Lawrence was on the board at Southside Community Arts Center. You know, a lot of people in Chicago, you know, knew him. Not just us, a lot of people. And everyone we speak to, they always have something wonderful and positive to say about he was a force to be reckoned with in the political world, in the world of law, and how he was a stand-up person. Just wonderful things. And so, like I said, Charles White. And what is the name of this piece right here, Ty? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Lithograph by Charles White, signed and numbered 1978. Name of the lithograph is Sounds of Silence.
And move on. So yeah, Charles White, that's my favorite, and I think that I feel like that is the jewel in the crown. Also, let's talk about, there's also a Richard Hunt. There's also William Carter, and I want to speak a little bit about Mr. Carter. And we call him, when we were coming up, we called him Mr. Carter. The people that, some of the people, they called him by his first name, I guess, I don't know, but we all called him Mr. Carter. And I remember when he used to live over by Old Town, and when we would go over there, it would always be, something would be going on in there. I mean, it would be Mr. Stringfellow, it would be all of the artists would be in there. It'd be late, it would be after 11 o'clock, and the door was like a revolving door. It was music, somebody's in the kitchen cooking, there was cocktails, people were dancing, everybody was laughing. Mr. Carter was sitting there, and Mr. Carter would just be looking at us and laughing and just painting his heart out. Also, I wanted to speak to old masters. You know, old masters like Da Vinci, Mona Lisa, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, those old masters. It's time for us to broaden this. It's not just like Ty said, Picasso and the rest of the boys. Now is hot. It's Henry O. Tanner, Norman Lewis, Richmond Barthé, Archibald Motley, of course Basquiat, Doc Thrash, Charles White. There's so many old masters that don't get their due.
I'm particularly focused on the Afro-Cobra artists.
Okay.
There was a collective of artists
Okay.
in Chicago that started in 1968. The Afro-Cobra artists. I think I learned about the Afro-Cobra artists in 2017, real late, since they started in 1968. And the founding members came up with a manifesto of they were going to do positive black images for black people. And prior to that, or a lot of times I think African American artists were trying to cater to a larger audience of buying, so they were painting white images. And these people said, well, we're going to paint images for black people and we're going to make it affordable to them. And the founding members, Jeff Donaldson, Barbara Jones, Agu, Jay Jarrell, Wadsworth Jarrell, and Joel Williams were the 5 founding members. Right here in Chicago, 1968. And they called that their Afro-Cobra was a movement. So they got it collected together, those 5 people made these images, supposedly positive images for black people. When I heard that, I was like, that's a new take on things, especially for older, prior to 1968.
Who was your favorite Afro-Cobra artist out of the group?
It's hard to say. I mean, from, you know, I like pieces from all of the Afro-Cobra artists. So my favorite, if I had to choose one person, I would say it would be Nelson Stevens, who came later. He wasn't a part of the, I think he came in '69. He wasn't a part of the original 5 founding members. All of the art they were making, they put messages in the art, like uplift your people, unite now. So
Yeah.
right, I think that was a good art movement. But you also have all of the other art movements, the Spiral Group out of New York, and then you have the Black Renaissance, you know, all of those artists.
There are Black old masters, and it's time for the Black old masters to be recognized, because these Black artists are incredible. But I do want to say something about this photograph up here at the top. This is the Freedom Fund dinner for the NAACP. The first person I saw was right dead in the center was Etta Moulton Barnett, Thurgood Marshall, John Stroger, Old Man Daly, Ralph Metcalf, A. Rayner. Listen, so many names, so many important people in that photograph. And that is such a piece of history, period. Also, Paul Robeson. Can you see any of the Paul Robeson? Lawrence Kennon, that was his favorite, hands down. In case you all don't know, Bronzeville is loaded with artists, old and new, you know, past and present, but Bronzeville is loaded with artists, you know, and so if you are trying to build your heirloom portfolio, if you are trying to, you know, build your art wall, you know, come to the estate sales. Come to the estate sales. You know, you don't have to start out trying to buy $300,000 pieces. Come to the estate sales. Buy some art. Buy some posters. Buy some lithographs.
I think that's a good tip, to buy the poster. And if you know, got to have a connection with the artist, have the artist to sign that poster. It's always good to look on your wall, and you know, it does have some value to what the artist signing.
I wanted to shout out my old high school teacher is Mr. Patrick McCoy. Mr. McCoy, he lives very close to us, and it's always a pleasure to go by his home and look at his art. Mr. McCoy has plugged us into so many different avenues, so I just really wanted to just shout him out. Hey, Mr. McCoy, thinking about you. We'll be able to see you soon.
So first of all, first tip for collecting is buy what you like. Buy the pieces that speak to you. That's number one, because it has to hang on your wall and you have to look at it. I wouldn't buy an expensive piece of art gambling that at one point is going to increase in value. But Afro-Cobra art is my favorite art, so I'm going to recommend that art to you guys. And I would say buy that art. Anytime you see a piece by any Afro-Cobra artist, purchase that piece.
And I would like to add to that again, buy art. Buy art. Art changes the home. Also, it helps the artist. Now is the time to build your heirloom portfolio, and you can do this easily by shopping estate sales. That is the best flex possible. It is the greenest flex possible. If you really want to save the planet, buy vintage. Buy shop estate sales, thrift. That's the biggest flex. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Signing off now, I'm Lynn McDaniel.
And I'm Ty McDaniel. Shout out to the Kennon family, the political activists in Chicago, Black culture, and Black people.
Estates of the Gods, ladies and gentlemen.